This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba for another technical diving tips, techniques, and trips video. 2023, we traveled to the Caribbean island of Cayman Brac. During this trip, I executed almost all of my dives using independent doubles. This is the same equipment configuration that I have used in Cozumel, Bonaire, and in Egypt. This video describes my experience of diving with independent doubles in Cayman Brac. For our diving support, we utilize the Brac Scuba Shack.
So here in Cayman Brac, there is no such thing as a set of manifolded doubles, and so if you want to dive with two tanks, you have a choice of either diving side mount or diving with independent back mount doubles. We do have one person in our party that is diving side mount. So with the place that we're using, the Brac Scuba Shack, there's no such thing also as left and right hand manifold valves, and so everything is a right hand valve. So again, as discussed in many of the previous videos, if you're going to safely independent back mount double dive, you have to reverse one of the two tanks backwards 180 out from the normal position. So what that means is you're actually taking your regulator and putting it on the back side of the tank instead of on the front side of the tank. For this trip, I'm doing recreational diving, and we're using a transmitter both on the left and also on the right post. I am not using an analog gauge of any type, as this is again just recreational diving. Alright, so we're here in Cayman Brac at a dive site called Handcuff Reef, also known as the Panama Canal. And what we're doing is some of us are going to be diving independent doubles. And what I'm doing at this dive site is I'm setting up the independent doubles. I've just assembled them, and I set them up in the back of our rental vehicle, which is like a minivan. So you can do that different ways. Sometimes we take it out. If there's a handy ledge, we'll actually set them up there. But for this dive set, I'm going to be putting together my gear and using a staging point of the back of the minivan.
Handcuff Reef is actually one of my favorite dive sites in Cayman Brac, and part of that is the easy accessibility to the water. Here we're looking at the dive site, which is actually a boat launch area, and what you do is you swim through that cut. So there's a large basin that you can get prepared to go diving with. To get to the water, you can actually go down this set of steps here, or you can do just a back flop if you have a set of doubles. Now we're getting out of the water, coming up the steps, and the site has very nice facilities. There's a small building with some bathrooms right next to the dive site. And then off to the side here is a shower, which not many dive sites have. Handcuff Reef has quite a few large barrel sponges, and in fact there is one reef in this area which actually looks like the egg pod scene out of the movie Aliens. Another site with easy accessibility is Radar Reef. The Radar Reef steps are also the entry point for the sculpture museum Atlantis, which was created by the artist Foots. I think at one point there was an arch, you could see that on the ground, that was on top of the two pillars. So there's a large number of statues in this park. You can also find dolphins at this site, or at least statues of them.
We're at a dive site here that is called Buccaneer Reef, and this is where the world famous MV Tibbetts is located. And we have a nice basin right here where we get in, and you might be able to see the aluminum ladder there on the side. So what you do is you swim out through the boat basin, and you'll see a white ball out there, the first ball, and that's actually Buccaneer Reef. And then if you keep swimming past that, there are 3 balls that mark the MB Tibbetts. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a dive on this site here today, and we're going to be diving as we have, or I have, most of the trip with independent doubles.
The surface swim to the MB Tibbetts is quite a distance with a single tank, and it is actually probably the longest surface swim that I've ever made with a set of 2 tanks. However, having the 2 tanks is quite comforting in the event that you want to penetrate the MB Tibbetts in one of many different places. I have penetrated the MB Tibbetts, and I can tell you that there are significant hazards, including loose wires down below the deck. So having 2 tanks is very comforting in the event that something does happen and it takes you a while to unentangle yourself. Since the deck is between 40 and 80 feet, and the hull is maybe another 20 feet off the seabed, you can have a really long dive if you have a set of doubles with something like 32% nitrox in it. So the dives are much more relaxing with 2 tanks rather than just a single AL80. With the 2 tanks, you can also have a fairly lengthy dive and then swim back along the coral reefs back to the shore, staying within your decompression limits. We did do a 2-tank boat dive to Little Cayman. Here I encountered an incompatibility problem between my set of independent backmount doubles and the tank holders on the boat. There was a difference in spacing between my tanks and the tank holders. This and the height of the tank holders prevented me from properly securing my tanks in the tank holders. Here you can see that I cannot close the buckle due to this issue. I ultimately ended up being able to close the tank bands on 1 tank and then just position the 2nd tank outside the tank holder, and that turned out to be adequately secure. On this boat trip to Little Cayman, I was actually able to dive Randy's gazebo, and this is the first time in 4 trips to Cayman Brac that I've been able to make this dive. On all the previous trips, a boat that was from Little Cayman always beat us to this particular mooring site because it takes us a while to get there from Cayman Brac. So there you have it, diving independent backmount doubles on Cayman Brac. If you found this video interesting, there are also independent backmount double diving videos for Cozumel, Bonaire, and Egypt. I am pleased to announce that at the time that I published this particular video, the channel had over 1,000 subscribers. This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.